need one of
Yes,
those.
no, it's awesome. Take it, pass them down if you want or whatever. But for me, it was just to see. So I would go in there with my stuff.
I've been using my phone.
Okay.
I've been using.
Welcome, everybody. We'd like to welcome you to our school board meeting this evening. Today is Tuesday, February 14th, 2023. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. It is 7:11 p.m., and we are convened as the Provo City School District Board of Education. We're meeting at 280 West, 940 North in Provo, Utah, and we will begin with a roll call, and we'll start with Derek.
Derek Anderson, Business Administrator.
Lisa Boyce, board member.
Terry McCabe, board member.
Jennifer Partridge, board vice president.
Rebecca Nielsen, board president.
Meg Van Wagenen, board member.
Gina Hales, board member.
Melanie Hall, board member.
And our superintendent, Keith Rattel, is here with us tonight. He'll just be joining us in just a couple minutes. All right, I will entertain a motion to convene our business meeting.
I move we convene the business meeting.
All right, motion made by board member Hall. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by board member Hales. Okay, we are now in our business meeting. I have the opening remarks today, and I would like to keep it short and simple. I wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day and hope you all have love in any different form in your life. So happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And we will now have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Cami Sosa, a 6th grade student at Provo Peaks Elementary.
Okay. Hello, my name is Camila Sosa. I'm a 6th grade student at Provo Peaks Elementary School. Will everyone please rise? Please say the Pledge of Allegiance with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much, Cami, for being here with us tonight and for leading us in the pledge. We will now turn the time over to Jason Cox, our Deputy Superintendent, for our employee recognition.
Thank you so much, school board members. I appreciate this opportunity. Again, we have a wonderful group of people we get to recognize tonight. I do want to just take a second, though, and say thank you for the participation of our students. That was awesome, being led in the pledge tonight by one of our students, and also then the participation earlier in the earlier meeting. But we have amazing employees and people who support us in Provo City School District. And so tonight we're going to be recognizing, please stand when I read your name if you're here with us tonight. Natalia Cordero, Megan Brooks, Amber Egbert, Christy Giblin, and Tanya Roberts. So those are the employees. Let's give them a round of applause. We have a video that we've put together recognizing them, but afterwards we'd like to give you the opportunity to personally thank them for the work that they do, for the different things they do for the school district. So after the video, we'd ask that those of you that are here come start up over here and allow everyone to thank you personally for the work that you do. But we'll go ahead and go to that point with the video.
I nominated Christy because I had the opportunity to come observe her class, and I saw such great teaching techniques, so many things that we've been working on as a school, all the things that we've been trying to improve, and I've also been able to observe her and how much she cares for her students. I've seen her differentiate and include kids who may not, at first glance, you think you can include, but they are doing such an awesome job in her classes. She does great work here at Dixon. I have worked with her for the past 14 years, even in her PLC for a good portion of that. And I know how much she works to get her students to achieve and what high expectations she has. And they reach those expectations, and I think that's wonderful.
Megan, I nominated you just because you keep our kids safe and keep the school running, and I honestly don't know how our kids would be where they're at without you. They feel safe with you and know that they can get whatever they need from you, and you really changed their lives, so we're just so grateful for you.
We're thrilled to be able to recognize Amber today as an instructional assistant here at Cove Spring School on the campus of the Utah State Hospital. Amber's been with us for 8 years, and so in a variety of roles over the years, right? Was a transition specialist for a number of years, and now is back in the classroom. The students adore her. I read the recommendation that was offered up by one of our own on your behalf, said glowing things, but the fact of the matter is that Amber's the first one to step up when an opportunity to help students is at hand, and does a tremendous job building relationships with our students. They know you by name, they appreciate you, they know you by voice, and by action, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have Amber be a part of our faculty, so very well deserving of this recognition.
Natalia works very hard to ensure that the students she works with and the teachers she works with receive and deliver equitable education. She's very passionate about finding student strengths, understanding their cognitive areas, and communicating with the teachers and parents about the cognitive areas. This helps ensure that the education is delivered most appropriately for the student and helps educators to use their limited time very wisely. Natalia is a great colleague who works very hard, is passionate, and keeps on top of current research findings. She's always referencing a current book, article, or podcast that addresses current issues we are facing in schools. The district is very lucky to have Natalia, and we are very lucky to have her at Provo Peaks.
So Tanya does such a great job for all of our students, welcoming them in the mornings and when they come in late, and also with teachers. She really does go all out for our announcements every morning. She makes up songs, she does voices, she does rhyming, she teaches us new words, and often we find ourselves calling her just to clap or make a comment because she really does brighten our day, and she is really such a lovely person.
They deserve at least another round of applause for attending on Valentine's night, right? And then
Congratulations.
Congratulations again to the winners of the Provo Way Award. We are so grateful for you and for all of the good that you do in our schools. So thank you again for that. We'll go ahead and now have a school report by Provo Peaks Principal Mark Burge.
All right, thank you for this opportunity to be here tonight to share all the amazing things about Provo Peaks. I know some of you have been to our school. I don't know if everybody has, but I invite all of you to come see the awesomeness that we have at our school, and sometimes craziness. There are a lot of things going on. I'll share some of those things. Did I? Something wrong. Okay. That usually happens. So, I asked our secretary Maria Thurston to give me some numbers for the demographics, and she put a whole Is she here? Okay. She said she was going to be. Anyway, she put a whole PowerPoint together for me. I didn't use it, but I used just a couple things out of it. But she's amazing. She cares so much about the school. Unfortunately, she's retiring this year, and she's been there a long time, and we're going to miss her. So, a couple of the things you'll see in a second are from the end of last year. We've increased about 34 students. It might have gone up more because we're getting new students it seems 3 to 5 new students every week. Just a couple days ago, we had 3 new students enrolled, 2 from Thailand and 1 from Uruguay. So up here we have 27 countries represented at our school. And just in January we had 20-something, really it was hard to keep track, but over 25 new students enroll at Provo Peaks Elementary. It's a challenge, and about 90% of those students only speak Spanish. And it's an amazing challenge that we have. We're excited. Those students come to our school. Any student comes to our school excited to learn. And also that increases the students who are English language learners. And that's been one of our goals this year, is try to get more people in to support those English language learners. And you can see all the countries that are represented at our school. So, and this is just kind of a breakdown of some of the ethnicity and percent of the population, and then increase. Again, these numbers are different now because when I started, it has changed. So, all right. So I'm going to show you some data first, and then we'll go through some of the great things that we have at our school. So this is the RISE assessment from the last several years. As you can see, in 2020 and 2021, there was a drop, and I'm pretty sure that's similar across the state. We're going back up. We still have a ways to go. We have some plans in place to really support some of the areas that where we are struggling. And you can see we're getting back up there, but again, a ways to go with that. For the reading assessment, the Acadians, you can see the years from 2018 when I first started. We've set our goal this year. The middle of the year growth is 69%. And so we set a goal as a school, as a group of teachers, 77% growth. And it's amazing to see. We have some grades that are doing a lot better than others, and we're providing support where needed. But we're getting there. We have a lot of great people. The students are working really hard. We had one teacher who she set a goal with her class with individual students, but she accidentally set the goals for the end of the year goal. But they all reached their goal. So the expectations she had and she's an amazing teacher, but her expectations were way up here, and all the students met. She told me after, she goes, I can't sustain that. So she's going to rethink that goal for next time and adjust, but still have those high expectations. And so we don't tease her all the time, but we kind of do that. She sometimes, because her class, she's a second grade teacher, her class is at about, I think they're at 28 students right now. We have 2 second grade teachers, and she didn't think she was doing a very good job at the beginning of the year because all the new students moving in, a lot of the students are coming off of COVID, missing a lot of school. but now she sees the amazing things that she is doing with these high expectations and being a great teacher. So anyway, so that's our goal for the end of the year, and I know we'll make it. The kids are working hard, teachers are working hard, and all the staff. All right, so some things about our school. We have the CAS classes for the east side of the district, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Sorry, the picture, just the way I edited it makes them look taller or whatever, but doing some different activities, just a bunch of great students, a great addition to our school. Oh my gosh, I apologize for this one. So a couple of these. So the girls on the left, they help make I have little gift Valentine's bags for you. They're over there. We'll give those to you at the end. And I apologize to Superintendent Derek and everybody over here. You don't get one. You can come to my school and get some chocolate if you want, but you have to come visit. So I can make you some flowers. But for board members, those are for you. But those girls made it. And then one of the things with our CAS program that it seems like it's been in the past is, all right, we are we're smarter than you, and almost kind of an elite type of thing. And that was when I first got there. And we've slowly started working, trying to make it, we're Provo Peaks Pumas. When May came by, I told her the same thing. We have so many things going on at our school. We're not a STEM school. We're not, all of these things. We are Provo Peaks. And what we wanted to do, in the picture on the right, we have Miley on the left, Mary on the right. Mary is in the CAS program. Miley is not, but we're trying to get them to work together and do robotics. And these are 6th grade students, so we're trying to just get them to be Provo Peaks students and working together, learning from each other. I talked with another group, and they are, one girl said, I was the design of the robot, whatever she did. I just made it all look pretty and nice, where the other girl did all the coding. And so they're working together, and it's a great thing to see. So I don't see any of that. Anyway, they're just working really well together, and it's so much fun to see them do that. So we also have about 70 students with significant special needs. And Jada on the left, she loves to scare people. So I just scared her right here, and she just laughs all day long, and every time she sees me, just laughs. That happens a lot, Alex. They just see me and laugh. But we have great students. We have 7 classes of students, and it depends on the class. But they're amazing kids. It's a challenge. It is really hard, and one of the things that we're trying to do more of is make sure we're doing inclusion. So the picture on the left, we have the 2 students on the right of that picture. They're in our special classes, and so we want to make sure that they are, and it's good for every student to have them working together. And just what a great opportunity, because sometimes it's hard to know how to interact with students who may not look the same or sound the same. And then it's just fun to see them work together. And it's hard for new students coming into our school, so we're giving them that opportunity. And there's another class right here on the right. They're just doing a brain break, doing some dancing, in Jeannie Zwollen's class right there. All right, so some of the opportunities, some things that we are that we're struggling with. Hiring, I know that's across the board, especially for our special classes. Getting paras in our classrooms to make sure that we have the support we need. UVU has been great to work with lately because they adjusted their schedule for their severe college student. They're going into severe special education, so that they can come work at our school, and then while they're still going to school. So they're getting that experience, and going to school at the same time. And retention is also another thing. We had a couple teachers leave last year to Alpine. One of them, she would move to Saratoga, but it was a money thing. We have a couple more. We're trying to do all we can to keep at our school. They said if we could just move Provo Peaks over there, and we understand, I understand that, money is hard, but we're doing all we can to retain our teachers. Again, one of the things that we have a lot of students who are learning English for the first time, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Social, emotional, and social well-being of students and staff. There's not enough chocolate or Coke or Mountain Dew or whatever you try, but there's a lot that we are working with the students and the teachers. Again, you can read through those. Does anybody have any questions about any of these right here before I move on? Okay. If you do, you can ask at any time. So some of the celebrations we have and some of the things that we're doing are helping those opportunities we have. Every year we are starting, or we've done for the last couple of years, a family and community night. I was in a dunk tank for probably 2 hours.
I was there. I can vouch.
And kids just started running up and hitting. I was really sore afterwards, but the kids now, and we had so many resources from the community at our school. Teachers made games. They showed the students how to play those games, the math or reading games. We had, I want to say, close to 600 community members there. It was pretty packed. Our Title I coordinator, Dallas Brooks, did an amazing job putting that together, and the teachers, everybody worked really hard to make it a success, and we're going to continue to do that every year to get them going. So we've had great reading growth. I'll talk a little bit about 95% in a second. Our wellness room we'll talk about, social worker we'll talk about, and our partnership with and volunteers. So this is the 95% core instruction that we have, that every teacher in K through 3, they do that every day, and we make sure that we do not interrupt that time. And we've seen some great things. Just on the right, a kindergartner wrote that. Wow. And she loves 95% and centers, and she loves teaching. So that's great. That's the first time I've seen a student write that she loves 95%, but the teachers really have embraced it, and the students enjoy it as well, and I think it's making huge growth. The spelling test on the left is a student from 3rd grade. This student really struggles. He has an IEP, and he struggles a lot, but he did really well on this test, and I celebrated with his mom during parent-teacher conferences that, and just so you know, the spelling test, they don't get the words until they get the test. So what the teachers do is they teach them strategies, breaking words apart, and then they give them the word, and they use those strategies that they were taught. And that student right there did an amazing job. So we were just so really proud of him and other kids, and so this is a great celebration for our students when they write a Valentine to the teacher about something that they're doing in the class. So it's amazing. We're doing Title I. We have we're switching up how we do interventions. Our teachers are starting to lead those interventions for our most struggling students, and we've found that it is making a big difference. Our paras are amazing, and they're still working with students who struggle, but we're kind of flip-flopping that. The ones with the most experience and the most training on those interventions are doing it, and the teachers are seeing some great success with that. All right, one of the things with the multiple language learners, we hired Raquel. She's in both of those pictures. We're doing everything we can to keep her at our school. She's way overqualified, but she's staying at our school because she loves it. I think she speaks 7, 8 different languages, and what she's done, she's done so much for our students and for the parents. On the right, you'll see she started a parent class on her own. During the day, we made some time for her, and she, at first we had 3 parents, but I think the last time we had 12. And she's teaching the parents, and usually they're parents who don't speak English very well. They want to learn more, but she's teaching them valuable phrases and questions to ask about their kids' education so they can communicate about that during parent-teacher conferences and other times. And we just have a lot of parents coming in, and she's just amazing, and she's actually kind of taken over the ELL program and supervising. And with some of the money we had, we hired 3 other aides, and she's in charge of those 3 others now. She's only been at our school, this is her 2nd year here. She's taken that, and I hope she stays. We're doing everything we can to keep her here because she's done such an amazing job. We have our wellness, and there's Megan again. She got the Provo Way Award. She is tremendous at what she does, and she is constantly working with students. I wish we really had 2 social workers because we really need it for our students, but she is constantly working with students with the Kindness Club. And on the right here, we've had our wellness room for about 4 years. It's not a huge classroom, and our philosophy is a little bit different than other schools. We don't just have somebody in there, staying in there, and kids are coming down. What she does, Kim, is we still let kids, we've had 82 students use, and the PAC is the peace and calm room. They come down, they use it often, but what we have Kim do a lot is those same students, she works with them in the classrooms to help them, give them skills to stay in the classroom, to be able to manage and their own behaviors and their own struggles. But again, we use it often, and amazing, just an amazing 2 people right there have done so much for our students, and it's awesome. And there's the Coke and chocolate that we all need and love. So this was at the end of the presentation Maria made, and I had to throw it in for her. She said everything is possible, and if you know Maria, she will do everything she can to solve the problem. And so she actually did that herself. So, but I agree, it's going to take a lot of work. And Maria was going to be here. Maybe she's watching, I don't know. But with Maria, everything is possible, and you believe what she says. But anyway, that's all I have for now. Are there any questions?
I just want to say, recently I was able to visit with Mark, and I just left feeling so inspired by the work you're doing at Peaks. And I love this idea of we are Provo Peaks Pumas and really rallying around that inclusion. And listening to this, just seeing the way I think you're really collaborating with your teachers and all the faculty and letting everyone be part of kind of finding the solutions to the different challenges you're facing. So thank you for all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Just thanks. I mean, years ago I had kids at Provo Peaks and was on community council there, and that school is a special place. You can feel it when you walk in, and you have unique opportunities to really lift people. And I love seeing how you're using resources, and I hope we'll be able to find ways to support what you're doing.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I echo all those sentiments. Wonderful, the things you're doing. I'm just curious. I just did the math. It's about 32% of your students are English language learners. So how do you address that? Do classroom teachers have learn skills, or what do you do?
So that's a great question, and we've been doing monthly trainings, focusing on giving teachers strategies, because that's where it all starts, is them using good strategies to help English language learners, and those same strategies will help all the students in the class. That's where it starts. And again, we're constantly going into classrooms. Our Title I coordinator is visiting classrooms, providing support often, and then hiring. Usually, since I've been at Provo Peaks, we've only had one person doing ELL instruction. But this year we got 2.5 more people to be able to push into the classroom and pull kids out at the same time. So I think that has really helped. So instead of just one person trying to spread themselves over 20-something classes, we're able to do a lot more with that. And so hopefully we'll be able to continue with those people. So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board?
All right. Thank you so much. And Bonnie will hand those out later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The flowers. Thank you, everybody.
Mark,
you.
thank you so much for coming. Okay, before we move on to public input, I have been notified that one additional Provo Way Award winner has arrived, and we weren't able to recognize her earlier. So Amber Egbert, if you are still here,
Come on up.
would you just be... That's awesome. We just want to tell you thank you so much for all you do for everyone in the district, and we're grateful that you were able to come tonight and let us tell you thank you in person. So thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to our portion of the meeting for public input. If you would like to give input to the board tonight, there are some forms over here on my right and your left. We would just need you to fill that out and return it to our secretary, Bonnie, over here, who's raising her hand. She'll pass that up to us. And in the meantime, we will go ahead and hear from those who've already filled out the forms. Just as a reminder for those who are speaking to the board tonight, this portion is for public input, so we don't respond to the comments that are given. It's just a chance for you to give us your comments and your feedback on things that you're thinking about or things that you'd like us to know. And if you're interested in further dialogue, you're welcome to email us as board members where we can continue that conversation. And everyone who gets up to speak will have 3 minutes to do so. So we'll start with Livia Clark.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Livia Clark, and I believe it said I need to state my address. So I live at 550 North, 1300 West in Provo. I'm a senior at Timview High School, and I've attended schools in Provo City School District since I was 7. For the most part, I've been very pleased with my education, but over the last 2 weeks, something very disturbing transpired at my unauthorized presentations at Timview High School. The administration did not know that he was giving these presentations, and although he showed up my school every day for 2 weeks to, quote, meet with teachers, end quote, no one ever questioned him about who he was, why he was at our school multiple days in a row, or what the meetings were about. Meaning that essentially, a stranger with unknown intentions had free range of a public school's campus. He was only reported last Friday, February 10th, by a classmate of mine. Not by a teacher, not by an administrator, but by a concerned student. This situation has made me feel incredibly unsafe at Timview High School, as it shows a serious lack in security protocol. Had this man had a weapon, some of my classmates could be dead. And with free range of campus, he could have planted a bomb inside my school, placed cameras in the student locker rooms to exploit us at our most vulnerable, or hidden inside a bathroom and assaulted a student. Knowing that my school does not have strict security procedures has made me, many of my peers, Timview's teachers, my parents, and other parents of Provo City School District students extremely uncomfortable. We have one question. In the era of school shootings, how was this allowed to happen? In addition to demonstrating Timview's incredible lack of security, this incident has also, in my opinion, revealed that the administration does not value informing parents of potential dangers their students may face. As a member of the school newspaper staff and in preparation to appear in front of the school board today, I interviewed many students and teachers about what occurred, and even asked one of the secretaries to disclose Timview's security procedures to me. The secretary did so, but then proceeded to tell me that I was not to share the story of the infiltration with anyone. This, in addition to the fact that today, 4 days after the incident was revealed to the administration, there is yet to be a public statement made regarding student safety leads me to believe that the administration of Timpview High School cares more about its reputation than student safety. Today, as I stand in front of the school board, I request that not only Timpview, but every school in Provo City School District review their security measures and take greater action to ensure the safety of their students. For my safety, for the safety of my peers, and for the safety of the students who will attend Provo City School District schools in the future, I request that greater security measures be taken to protect not just our education, but our lives as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. We'll next hear from William Widener.
Thank you. Just to start off, I'm going to talk about something I wasn't originally going to talk about, but with that incident that occurred, I am now learning right now that that was not authorized, and I'm frankly astounded. I was in one of the classrooms where I believe one of those presentations occurred, and I remember thinking, why is this allowed? It seemed really off topic, but I do believe that the school board and schools in general need to take strong measures to increase school safety. Now, moving on to what I was originally going to talk about, I am chair of the Provo Youth City Council, and we are an organization mandated by the city to help represent Provo youth. And in that position, I'm especially happy to be here today to speak in favor of the proposal to add student members to the school board. When considering policy, it's obviously important to consider the stakeholders. And in education, there is no bigger stakeholder than the students themselves. The entire education system is made for our benefit, and it's a little unfair that we have no say in many of those decisions. I believe that most, if not all of you, have students in the Provo City School District, and I hope you use them as your little spies or something to find out what's going on in our schools. But I think having a student member, or it's 2 student members, could really help the board see what's happening, and as brought up in the study session, act as a liaison and help find out certain instances, especially with what Olivia just brought up. I think student members would be an incredible resource for the board, and it would also be an incredible resource for us as students to ensure that our views are being represented and that our rights are being protected, as education is a really contentious issue, and students really do deserve to have a say. I'm happy to have worked with really amazing people. Milan and Lizzie have been great at this, and I can tell you that in the proposal that was submitted, that there is not a single line that we did not have a discussion or debate over. We really thought about it, and I can tell you that that proposal represents what Provo youth actually think is necessary for the district, and you can also see that through the amount of signatures we were able to get, which I'm especially proud of, as I was able to help out with that. But I really do believe this policy to be really the best way forward for the district, and I would hope that you vote to pass it. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Next, we'll hear from Alexa Dodson.
Hi, my name is Alexa Dodson. I'm a junior at Freedom Preparatory Academy. So I'm not a student in the district, but I'm really grateful for all the conversations I've been able to have with, I think, almost all of you. Everyone's been so insightful and considerate and kind, and I really appreciate that. Special thank you to Ms. Gina Hales, or Dr. Gina Hales, for your help and for your work on this. You've contributed so much, and also to Assistant Superintendent McKee. Thank you. I'm here to also speak in support of the proposal to add student members to the school board, specifically for its civic engagement capabilities. Over the past 3 years, I've been able to help run a piece of legislation through the legislature. I've worked with my school's governing board to change policies, and all of those experiences, I think, have taught me different things than I could have ever learned within the government and civics classrooms at my school. Those definitely give like a very helpful basic knowledge and understanding of government, which is so important. But the things that you can learn just by sitting in a government meeting are things that I think can't be learned in the classroom. I think if we add student members to the board, it will make the board more accessible for students in general. They'll be more ready to come into meetings, to speak during public comment. As a student, I've felt that it can be very difficult or intimidating to break into spaces that feel like they're reserved for adults. Even though we are stakeholders, especially in education, but in government in general, it often feels like intimidating to be in spaces like this, and that is one of the key reasons that I feel it's important to have student members, so that students can see themselves on the board and so that they can feel more represented and like it's okay for them to come into spaces like this and to speak about their concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alexa. Rachel Cutler.
Hi, good evening. My name is Rachel Cutler, and I am an English teacher at Provo High School. I've had the really remarkable opportunity to work with a couple of these students as they've been formulating these ideas. I heard about it kind of when it was just an idea that was brought up in general conversation, and we talked about like next steps and what that would look like. And it's kind of amazing to see that like I gave very little feedback and very little advice, and they took this incredible idea and really made something remarkable from it. I've seen things like this happen, many times over my career so far, but this is maybe one of the most remarkable instances that I've seen of student engagement and the inspiration and go-gettingness, I don't really know, initiative, I guess would be the word, and I think it's easy to see in this case how if we give students room and space to articulate their ideas and opinions, that remarkable things really happen. I think their current teaching pedagogy or theory really advocates for the increase in student voice and choice in order to increase student engagement. And I think this is a great example of that, where if we give students a voice in local government and in the things that really matter to them, they increase engagement, awareness, and I mean, like Alexa so wisely said, right? They feel like they have a space at the table. And I think teachers, we have the need to listen to our students and to adapt to their needs. And I think all adults who bear responsibility in this world of students also have that responsibility to adapt and to listen. So I feel that as the school board works parallel to and in tandem with teachers, this is also a need that the school board has to listen to these voices of the students. So again, I think this is a remarkable proposal, and all of the teachers that I've spoken to are heavily, heavily in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. McKenna Tetrick.
Hey, good evening, board members. I'm McKenna Tetrick, a senior attending Provo High School, and currently I'm the National Honor Society president and artist on Student Council. And tonight I'm going to be talking about student representation. If there's a time and place for paving the way for more representation for students, it's today and now. It's a critical time now more than ever to speak for the minority and give power to the students to encourage change. That in the end will benefit us all for the greater good. It's time to speak this truth clearly. Student representation is essential to ensuring that the student body, their voices, opinions, and perspectives are all being heard and valued, or even having any sort of consideration. It gives us, the students of Provo City School District, feeling of involvement in the community in which we spend our precious time. We want the community we reside in to be a place where, again, we all feel heard, valued, and even respected. Representation is always key to making a positive impact, it be our education, our community, and our future. That's what will help lead us to success. Representation allows for the diversity of our society to be reflected in their decisions that shape our lives. Looking back into history, how was change made? Change made was by people using their voice, like you and me and everyone in this room. Physically voicing what you believe or just taking part in the attendance today speaks volumes. As some may say, actions are louder than words. Let us together Let us work together to ensure that student representation becomes and remains a vital part of our community, because together we can make transformative action. Thank you.
Thank you, McKenna. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Okay. Thank you so much. Before we move into our business items, we actually need to revisit a few items from our study session agenda that we were not able to address earlier. We will go ahead and go back there, and we'll start with item number 10, which is our superintendent search update. Give me just a second. Okay, I actually am going to take this one. So, let me just bring up my notes. Sorry, give me just a minute here. Okay, so this will be a discussion mostly for us as board members, but the first thing I want to do, though, is publicly take a second to thank everyone who participated in our public input meetings this last week, or who filled out a survey for us in regards to our superintendent search. That our public survey ended yesterday, and Caleb is working on gathering that data for us and having a report for us, and he should be able to have that to us board members by this Friday. Y2, who
I
is
have
also...
a question about that. Were students allowed to fill out the survey?
It was open to anyone, so I don't know if it was advertised to students necessarily, but I know anyone was able to fill it out, so we may have some student responses. I'm not sure, maybe Caleb can let us know when you give us the data on that, if there were any student responses. Or is there... What was that? Okay. So we'll have that data on Friday. We also received all the data from our staff input meeting that we had last Friday. So us as board members will be going over that. And then also we'll be receiving soon a more thorough report from Y2, who conducted a scientific survey for us. They've already given us our top line report, as you guys have all seen. And what they're working on now is analyzing all that data and coming and putting together what they call the visual report, which is going to be a more thorough report for us with all the details and breakouts and different ways to analyze it that we are looking for. So in regards to that, board members, they need to meet with us to present that to us in person. They'll have a PowerPoint with colors and graphs and charts and things, and that's something they want to do with us in person. Our next board meeting is February 28th, but I feel like that's slightly too late because we want to have this data put together with to have our announcement done by the 27th. So board members, we have 4 options for them to come present that to us. The first is, of course, our board meeting on the 28th, which I personally feel is too late, but if you feel like you want to avoid having an extra meeting, that is an option. Otherwise, Y2 is able to meet with us in the late afternoon on either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, the 22nd, 23rd, or 24th. So what we need to do is decide our availability there and let Y2 know so they can try and schedule that with us. So I don't know if everyone has a minute to just take out their calendar and see what availability they have on those days.
When you say late afternoon, what time are we?
We're looking at like 2 on.
After 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Rebecca, I am not available on Friday.
You're not available on the
Yeah, work all
24th?
day, yeah.
Okay, but you're good on the 23rd and 22nd?
Yes.
Okay, I need to be able to give them just this quick report by tomorrow so we can try and schedule that. So
I'm available either Wednesday or Thursday. Or
when?
is that it?
Yeah, Friday's the day.
Okay.
Wednesday or Thursday are fine for me.
I can make them work.
I just can't do it between 3 and 4.
Not between 3 and 4, okay.
And I'm with clients until 3:30 on Thursdays, so I could do later Thursday or I could do Wednesday after the founders lunch, right?
Okay.
It's PTA founders lunch on Wednesday from 12 to 1.
Okay. Okay, perfect. I'll coordinate. So I have not Friday, Wednesday or Thursday for most people, but if it's Thursday, late Thursday, does that sound about right for
Sorry.
everyone? No, that's okay. Okay, so what I'll do is
Not between 3 and 4. on
and
Thursdays.
and not between 3 or 4. Thank you. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll take that back to Y2 and try and get something scheduled. And so that will require an extra meeting. Just be prepared for that, and Bonnie will let you know so you can get that notice to the public. Thank you so much. Also, I know we just barely finished our public input meeting, so now it's time to get to work on the next step, which is our Citizens Committee. Our Citizens Committee, we've worked out a long, detailed procedure. Derek and I have worked out a long, detailed procedure with Richard. But for us board members, our part will be that each one of us needs to specifically invite 2 people to that Citizens Committee to review superintendent applications. So I need the info, the names, the name, phone number, and address of your 2 specific invitations by Friday, March 24th. So that gives you a couple weeks to kind of look into that and decide who you want that to be.
You mean February?
February, I apologize.
Can
February
I ask
24th.
the date that they would need to be available is March?
Absolutely. So we're going to send out the invitations on March 1st, and we're looking to have them review applications March 10th through
Oh, yeah, sorry.
through 13th. I know I'm getting confused too.
I thought the
Sometime-
application was open until March 27th.
Yes,
I apologize. Okay, I am getting confused. April 10th through 13th are the days
wow.
we're thinking of having the Citizens Committee.
I thought we were going to have them come before.
I thought it was earlier.
Yeah, March before spring break.
I thought it was after spring break, because it doesn't close till right before spring break.
Monday the 24th. So I thought that gave us the 25th through the 28th for that Citizens Committee, which would allow us to hit the ground after spring break.
Okay, I may have my notes
Give us
wrong
3
on
weeks
that. So
for
can
the
I confirm that
process.
with you? Let me confirm that with you guys. But start thinking about who you
So
want your 2 invitations.
is that why
to be.
you're saying like March 24th to get those names to you by then?
No, okay. So
Okay.
let me lay out the timeline again.
Okay.
I need your 2 names to Bonnie with all their information by February 24th.
Gotcha.
Bonnie will extend invitations to the people that we're interested in having on the Citizens Committee on March 1st. That will give them a full month to plan because it's going to take a significant amount of their time. It's going to take 6-7 hours for them to go through all the applications and rate them. So if you could have your 2 names to Bonnie by February 24th. Also, in addition to that, that's only going to fill 14 spots on the committee, and we're looking to have anywhere between 30 and 35 people. Board leadership's going to fill in the rest of those gaps, and we're looking for a diverse group of people. So I have mentioned in some of the superintendent input meetings, and I don't know how much you guys have made this known to people, but I am taking from people in my area requests. If people feel like they want to be on that committee, I'm taking requests for them, taking their information and a little bit about them so we can try and fill in those gaps. So there is a spreadsheet in our group, our Google group, in the superintendent search section, and it has a couple tabs on there, and one of the tabs on there is for requests. And I'm keeping track of people who want to be on the committee, so Jennifer and I can look at those requests when we're filling in the gaps and possibly invite those people. So if you get any requests or if you want to solicit requests, you're welcome to do so. Just please add them into that spreadsheet so Jennifer and I can fill in. You're also welcome to talk to your principals and people in your area and get recommendations as well. So we'll be looking for another 20 people. So we're happy to take requests. And if the public is listening right now, if that's something you're interested in, we're talking right now about the committee that will go over the superintendent applications and rate them before the board sees them. You can send an email to your board rep and let them know you're interested, and then we may possibly extend an invitation for you to be on that committee.
Rebecca?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, before I can send out these, ask people, you'll give us the dates and how much time are they being asked to
Absolutely.
set aside?
So know that we're going to give them a 3 to 4 day window. They can choose a time. They'll make an appointment with Bonnie. They'll need to block out about 6-ish hours of time. So if they need to do it over 2 days for 3 hours each, that's fine. But they'll need to have about 6 hours of time where they can come and really thoroughly look over the applications and rate them. And then I will confirm the dates with you and make sure.
And they need to understand they're doing this under confidentiality too.
Absolutely. So you'll need to let them know that they will be required to sign and agree to a confidentiality agreement. And they'll have to keep all information confidential, even after the fact, really. So.
I appreciated a comment that we read in an email around reaching out to principals potentially to make sure, and I guess we can do that as board members, but I like the idea of making sure we represent stakeholders throughout the district.
Absolutely.
That way, so maybe as we're putting that in the spreadsheet, is there a column that says like, do they have which school?
Yeah, I just have a column that says about. So I've received a few requests, and the people have told me who they are, where they're from, what they do, and I've just kind of put all that information in there. So any information you can gather from them that will help Jennifer and I place them correctly would be great. So if you want to encourage them to tell us what area they're from, that would be awesome.
Great.
Did you have a question?
Okay, so to clarify, Bonnie's going to send a formal invitation, but we should talk to them ahead of time.
Correct. Yeah, we don't want to surprise them with the invitation. So you'll be talking to them ahead of time and letting them know that it'll come formally on March 1st.
Okay.
Okay, so that's our portion for the board. So keep that in mind, and please make sure you have those names to Bonnie by the 24th. And by the way, I keep saying names to Bonnie, but there's also a tab on that spreadsheet for your 2 invites. So one tab for your 2 invites and another tab for your requests in addition to your invites.
And you've sent that because I'm not seeing it.
It's in the Google space for the superintendent search. If you look in the files section,
Superintendent search
it's
items?
the spreadsheet entitled superintendent search items that Derek put in there, and it's just 2 of the tabs.
I've had people ask if there's going to be any staff in the district who are doing this, or is this just, okay?
Absolutely, we're going to try and include staff. I mean, as diverse a group as possible, but absolutely for sure staff. So, okay. So that is our new part coming up. Also, I'm going to be asking board members to take on some assignments for that citizen committee. Maybe going over, I think you all received or saw the documents that Derek put in the Google space with sample rubrics, sample confidentiality forms, sample info letters and whatnot, and I'll probably be asking board members to help edit and get those ready for distribution. So if you're willing to take on an assignment, just watch that space and I'll put the assignments in there. Also, the last thing on the superintendent update was just that Richard sent us another draft of the brochure not that long ago, and we are going to try and finalize that, of course, before we make the announcement, but if anybody still has some edits they want to put in on that brochure, please make sure to get those in.
And are we going to do those edits after we get the Y2K data so that kind of informs that section on there? I noticed that's kind of
Absolutely, yeah. So that section, we're waiting for that data, but any other edit suggestions, things we've kind of been talking about, just remember that.
And can you give Richard my school board email? Because I found it in my junk folder of my just regular personal email. So I think before I was officially a board member, he has that email.
I noticed that he had yours incorrect too, right, Meg? I think you had your personal.
Yeah, I don't even know if I got it.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Okay, do any board members have any questions? I hope I didn't confuse you all by getting mixed up on those dates, but about what's happening with superintendent search and where we are and what our next steps are. Okay. Thank you, everybody who's been involved in that so far, and all the board members. All of your guys' help was so invaluable when we worked on everything for this superintendent search meeting, so thank you so much.
Thanks to you and Derek for you're putting in a lot of work on this, so thank you.
No problem. Okay. If there's no more questions from the board about item number 10, we'll move to number 12 from the study session, which is our small school update. And Alex, if you don't mind taking that for us.
Good evening, school board members, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk to you today a little bit about our smaller schools that we have in our district. Bonnie, do you have that presentation? I visited with the superintendent last week, and he asked that I share with you just some of the smaller schools that we have in our district and some of the information around those with enrollment and choice. And so I will share that and some of the things that they're doing in their schools. One piece of information, just be aware, these schools with enrollment constantly in flux. Some of these schools kind of change as the smallest schools, and sometimes one of these might be the third smallest, another might be the smallest. It just depends on the week that we look at them, as Mr. Burge already talked about today. So today I'll be talking about 4 of our schools here that those 4 schools, go back to them. Currently, those are the enrollment numbers that we have right now for those 4 schools, and looking at them, there is 2 on the east side and 2 on the west side there that just wanted people to be aware of. out there, okay? Go to the next slide. So this is something I worked with Dr. Finch in his office to kind of prepare some of this information. Just wanted you to be aware of the data that's out there. Currently, it's interesting, you look at Franklin Elementary School, and there's 29.4% of students that are choicing into that school, and it's not something that I had anticipated. It's just not a school that you would have expected. There's going to be tons of people choicing in, but yet they're one of the higher choice in schools in our community, which is really fantastic to see that there's a draw to that school. Canyon Crest is also highly requested because it is a dual language immersion school, and so you get a number of students choicing there. Amelia is not as high, but it's a pretty stable area, and the community just kind of holds together pretty strong, so you have that percentage there. In Spring Creek, there's not as many choicing there, but as you look across, you can see those numbers in enrollment and how they tease out across that. So total view of choice students are right there in that column, that second column, and then in-district students, and then out-of-district students, and that percentage is just the percentage of out-of-district students.
Alex, can you hold for just a second?
Yeah.
And can we go back to the first slide because the board was not able to see that?
Okay.
Just
Can
to
you
get
guys
a good
I
look at it.
apologize. I didn't realize you didn't see that.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. And just keep in mind there's one other school that could fluctuate into this number as well, Provost, with their enrollment numbers as well. But these were the 4 schools that as superintendent and I were talking about. Here they are. So here are some things that highlights of those schools. Let's go to the next slide. So Amelia, these are some of the things that just resonate well and with each of these schools. Ryan has, Mr. McCarty has spent a lot of time on identifying the core values and really teasing out his systems of support and really towards the PBIS efforts. He really has worked with Read with the Child for a Day. That's one of the things that Mr. Cox actually started a while back, but has Mr. McCarty has carried it on, and it's become just kind of an icon in the community of fun things to go to. And if you haven't ever been to that, I challenge you to go in the future. It's really fun. I think, Terry, you were there this year. Was it that with not this year, but you've been in the past. And then the other thing too that I'm really excited about with Amelia, he's been working with the PR department, and these are some clips that highlight some unique stuff about Amelia that's really touting some of the good things that they're doing, and then they have a strong Beverly Taylor Sorensen. Next slide. Okay, Canyon Crest, they have been working on their STEM, and similar to what has been happening at Edgemont, as they're working on creating both a track and a STEM track, and working to ensure that they have strong instructional supports in both of those areas, and creating choices for parents to be able to access those STEM pieces as well as the dual language side. And with that, the superintendent has worked with them, and they've created a unique and cool space lab at their school, similar to what has been happening at Edgemont. Sean has been working hard to really beef up their PBIS efforts, and has been taking time to celebrate kids, and a lot of it has been that celebration piece. It's been really fun to watch. Their STEM nights have become really powerful and strong. The teachers and parents are starting to really see the joy and the excitement in the kids as they celebrate some of the STEM things that they're doing. And then their Beverly Taylor Sorensen as well has been another piece that they're highlighting as well. Let's go to the next slide. So Franklin, this is down in towards the Boulders area. They have STEM inclusion, PBIS initiative, and those are 2 things that they're really pushing on. I know that Keith has also worked with them to build a space lab, and they're just getting it off the ground and going. It's really going to be a powerful piece for their community and their school. One of the things that's really unique to what's happening in Franklin is the Hometown Initiative. And Board Member McKay can probably speak to this better than I could with all the experience there, but the local church is working to revitalize the area and build in some structures that will help the community own the revitalization of that area, with bringing in supports for the families, as well as food, for tutoring, as well as giving them access to resources such as piano lessons and a few other things like that. They're pretty unique and cool for that school. There's an art focus at that school. The art teacher there is phenomenal. If I can tell you, if you ever get a chance, go watch this art teacher. She's just incredible in how she gets kids to be creative and bring some of their ideas to life. They've been really working hard on recognition. This is from the STEM fair. Kids there, and then they also have a preschool at Franklin Elementary. Okay, go to the next one. And Spring Creek. Spring Creek has been really big on pushing their STEM Fridays. They do some STEM stuff during the week, but most of the time they focus it and push it to a Friday and then make it a big deal, and then they'll do some STEM nights as well. They've also got a really strong positive behavior intervention and support piece that Mrs. Franklin worked on a few years ago to really build, and it's continuing there. And in fact, they have used students as a big part of their PBIS efforts that have happened there. They also have a really strong after-school robotics program there that's really unique and fun that the kids really enjoy. And then they also have a preschool at their school. Okay, so these are the 4 smaller schools, but again, you could tie Provost into this as well. And if you have any questions for me, now would be a good time to kind of ask. And
let me just add one little piece of context. A year ago, when we talked about small schools and creating a policy around small schools, there were 3 schools. Canyon Crest was not on that list at that time, but because it is below 500, we thought that we would include that for the board to be aware of. So that's why you see 4 tonight.
One piece of information that I think would also be interesting, I really appreciated all of this, and I love that you helped us see where kids are choicing, or families are choicing in. I think it'd be interesting for just the conversation moving forward to also see the data of, are people choicing from one neighborhood boundary out? Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to make it like look like who's leaving that school, because I don't think it's really about that typically, right? There's a lot of reasons for choice. But just so that we would get a feel for how many people live in that boundary but aren't currently attending that school for a number of reasons. Does that make sense? I just think that
we can get some more of that information. I know that there is some data about the numbers of choicing out. Where they choice to sometimes is a little bit more complex.
Right. I'm just trying to see, like, in terms of numbers of where our students live per se. I'm just curious to get a feel for that.
And if there's any way, because obviously if you want to do a language, you might be choicing to the school for a language, but who's choicing maybe just because they don't feel that the school next to them is the right fit. It's not for
or they don't know enough about the school near. Do you know what I mean? Just trying to get a feel for our population, I guess, in terms of boundaries. Really, it's not about. I'm not trying to make a judgment about the school by it, really, even just to see where people and families and our numbers are.
To your point, I think that open choice has really given parents the latitude to move to the schools and give them flexibility. And so knowing that information may be something in the future we should encourage a conversation around and just have that for you available to you. Yeah, thanks. I like it.
Go ahead, Melanie.
So I just need you to clarify for me with numbers. In our DLI schools, we have, it's a 2x2 model in each of those schools, except for Wasatch, but we're starting to weed those out. And then how many kindergarten teachers are in each of those DLI schools right now?
So I don't have the exact numbers, so I don't want to misrepresent in any way, shape, or form, but most of those schools typically have 2 sessions and sometimes 3 sessions of kindergarten, but we've moved them to all-day kindergarten, so there are usually 3 sessions that are in those schools.
Okay. So, and then in our non-DLI schools, our traditional schools, how many, are there 3 classes in each grade level across the board? Like, do you see what I'm saying? So like so 1st through 6th grade, there would be 3 classes of each of those grades in every one of those schools?
So it depends on the school and the enrollment numbers. Like Lakeview, there's usually 3, sometimes 4, because they're a larger school. But if you go to like Amelia, it's 2 per section going up. Does that make sense? And they're not a DLI school.
Can you get me those numbers? Because I want to see, like, I want to break down like how many, what the average class size would be based on these numbers. So can I find out how many teachers are in each grade level and each, just so if you can get that for me?
Per school?
Per school. Yeah, for all the elementary schools, including kindergarten.
So you're asking for like K through 6, just number of teachers?
Number of teachers, because then I can divide that, yeah, for every single grade. And even if you want to break it down, just so that I can kind of start looking at apples to apples to see like, okay, how many more teachers does this school have versus this school based on this? And so I can get an actual kind of average size of the classrooms. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we can break that down and I can work to get those numbers for you.
Okay.
So part of the reason why we have this on the agenda today is because we are hoping to be able to use this conversation and the schools we've been watching to try and help inform a larger conversation that we feel like maybe we need to have about capacity at each school, and some schools that are bursting at the seams where others are, have lots of extra room, et cetera. So can we be reminded real quick of our small school policy? Maybe you can help me. Our threshold was 300 students, right? Or was it 400?
I'd have to look it up.
I don't have that. I don't remember the exact number right off the top of my head.
Falls below 400.
If it fell below 400, can we bring up that slide again with the numbers? Sorry, Bonnie. At each school, because I know some of them have fluctuated, and I don't know. I'm trying to remember what our policy states, if we need to continue watching certain schools, or if we're going to watch them for that 3-year period no matter what.
We were going to
Derek's
watch them
saying
for a 3-year
4.
Okay. They're saying 400.
It's under 400. Once they hit
Okay.
that 400, then they become essentially a school that's under watch for 3 years.
Okay.
Rebecca,
And then at
can
the
I ask a
end-
question? Sorry. It has to do with what you're talking about. I'm curious, the capacity for these schools. I mean, we're building Wasatch with a capacity of 800,
I believe,
and
right?
so when I'm looking at these numbers, it's good to know, but I'm also wondering, and by capacity, I mean, how many realistically students do we, how many do we want, would we want in that school? Because I know that actual capacity versus what is, but yeah, what's ideal. But I would be interested because that would help me know, like, do we have a bunch of empty classrooms in Franklin, or is Franklin's capacity a little bit lower, and so we wouldn't want that many students? So next time we have this discussion, I'd love to hear that. Sorry,
We do
Rebecca.
have that data too, in the sense of we had, I think, was it last meeting where we had square footage of the schools and then the number of students enrolled. That's not necessarily answering it in terms of classroom space. I
Yeah, square
guess.
footage isn't going to tell me,
Yeah.
because that could mean AC
Right.
stuff, and I
Well,
don't want to put.
and this might be one of those pieces where, again, it's going to take us a little bit more, because I think we need to go back and look at what was the building built for, then what is the actual, and what are the programs that are running within those buildings, and then also based on the way we've allocated students to teacher ratio is also going to impact that as well. So I think those are some pieces that we need to flesh out together.
And one of the things that we're planning on building out is actually this report in Domo, so it's live daily as, as enrollment changes. It's been flagged. What we'll do is we'll put a priority on this, so that way it's essentially built out and running live.
But there are multiple factors that play into this, and Derek's right on with this, yeah.
I would also love to hear, and maybe you can speak to it tonight, but if not, it's fine to wait for another time. Just what are these schools doing? Like, you're telling us all these great things they're doing. How are they messaging this to their community? I think in education we're really good about doing our job in our school, but not necessarily sharing our good stories. And what are we doing to increase capacity, to bring back some of the people who have choiced out? Because I think that can be part of it. I'd hate to make a big boundary decision on something when the schools are working really hard and they're about to bring in a big influx of people.
That's a great question. So let me attend it to 2 ways. One, I meet with Alex Glades every week. He works directly with Caleb. And so he and I kind of plan attack with different schools and try to help message it from, here are some of the big things that are coming up that are our big highlights that we want to target and make sure that we're sharing out, not only from the school level, but also from the district side. But then he's also, I'm asking him to get into the schools and get to know the day-to-day operations and also highlight those, because a lot of times we celebrate the massive big things and they're like, woohoo, and then we go away and then we don't do anything. What I really want to make sure that we're doing is not only highlighting the great things that are happening in the schools, but also messaging how consistently we're attending to the great things that are happening on a daily basis in the classroom. So there's two ways that Alex is helping me navigate with the schools. For example, Franklin is a prime example of this. We just, I had Alex go out there and work with them. They've had two events within the last little while that they're working on creating a story for that the district is going to help create, but then they're also working with their content manager at the school to get the daily message out of great things that are happening as well. There's coming up in the spring, working with the Hometown Initiative, a big event coming, so Alex is aware of that one and working to help celebrate and make sure that that is a big push in the community so that there are big things that are happening, but they're also attending to the day-to-day operations. So there's a twofold process to it that we're trying to be consistent with.
Thank you. I also want to point out, I have neighbors that complain that they have to be bused all the way to Spring Creek on the other side of town. And so the kids don't get to participate in after-school activities because is there a late bus at Spring Creek?
Yes, there is.
And they could be walking to Franklin. 121 students could be walking to Franklin, but they're bused all the way to Spring Creek. And these parents are annoyed.
Are there any other questions for Alex from the board?
I think this is a good start
Yes.
for us. I think this is a continuing conversation that we could put on a future board meeting.
That was going to be my next question for the board is next steps for this. This is kind of the start of our conversation. And where would we like to go from here?
Let me just add, I think we can find pretty much all the data. I can't guarantee all of it, but most of the data that you're asking for. But Alex is ill tonight, and he was not prepared to talk about some of the questions that have been answered. So it'd be great if you could funnel those to me, and we can get a comprehensive list together, and then he can be prepared in the future to provide that information.
Thanks, Alex. Sorry that we're putting you on the
No,
spot.
you're good. This is great. No, we'll work to get more information. And again, I think some of these are pieces that just need to be teased out together, and we can be prepared to help answer these questions.
Well, and I don't think any of us needed all of the answers tonight. We just want to start a conversation. So,
Fair.
So, that otherwise we would have reached out and said specifically, here's what we'll want by tonight. So this was perfect just as a conversation starter for us, just so that we'll be mindful and looking at a whole at, how we're doing and what the needs are and how we can make sure our resources are where they need to be.
Perfect. Nope, that's
Thank
great.
you for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
All right. Item 13 from our study session is the consent calendar review. And are there any questions on that?
I do.
Terry.
Doug, on the homeschool requests, 22 to Centennial, that seems a lot. Is there a reason for that? Because the other schools only had like one or two.
Yeah, what you'll get at Centennial Middle School is you get they have a lot of students who do part-time homeschool exemption based on some scheduling requests that are unique. Like they'll say, I want to take multiple fine arts classes, for instance, or there's those 3 different DLI programs that feed into, and that requires them to take 2 classes. So even though Centennial has our broadest array of classes being a 5-block schedule, individuals are encouraged by their administration, if they're going to miss a core subject, then they'd fill out a homeschool exemption. So a lot of that comes at the beginning of a semester. So back in August, I bet you'd find a comparable number to what you found in January. A new semester starts and kids want to move their schedules around, and that administration there points them towards student services to just take even a single class as a homeschool exemption if they're not going to take a core subject.
Okay. That's all my questions. And then on Jason, on the personnel certified contract new hires, the report that had the green on the top, I noticed that it's almost exactly the same as the January report with only 3 names added to it, and that didn't look right. Can you tell me what's going on?
I would guess that from what you described, the January piece was carried over. If there were just the 3 names, we're not doing a lot of hiring in the certified area right now. So I would guess there was just a carryover from last month, and then there were just 3 new hires so far.
Scott dates back to November.
Yeah. It just looked odd.
I can check on that.
Thanks. Derek, I had a question. On the warrant summary on page 2, it said it was dated January 10th. Are you sure it was January 10th?
Sorry, that was not updated either.
Yeah. And then on the executive summary, on page 5, it mentions the food services, and then also on page 11.
Yes.
So how has the increasing cost of food affected the food services budget?
It's actually been something that we prepared for.
Okay.
That we were planning on, and I actually sent an email. Thank you for sending out the email, because I was able to confirm with our child nutrition department that we do have sufficient budget this year to cover those escalation costs. So.
Okay. Those are all my questions.
Okay, thank you. And then real quickly, in the interest of time for item 14, I'll let the board members go over the upcoming Google Calendar items on their own, but just particularly I'll point out we have our next study session on Tuesday, February 28th. An email is going to go out tomorrow asking for agenda items for that. So I know we just barely finished, but we're going to start over again. So we're doing things a little different this time. We have a spreadsheet to add them to, so we can keep a little bit better track than we did last time. So be prepared to be thinking ahead for that. We also have our board retreat coming up on March 10th. And so agenda items may go to either one of those, or even perhaps our study session on March 21st. So, okay. All right, we'll move back to the agenda for this meeting. We'll move to item E, business items. And we will start with the consideration to approve the student representation on the school board. And I will entertain a motion there.
I move that we approve the student representation on the Provo City School District Board of Education as discussed in the study session.
I'll second.
Thank you so much. Motion made by Board Member Boyce and seconded by Board Member Hales. I'm learning some new things about Robert's Rules, so if there's any further discussion, we'll actually go ahead and give the floor to Board Member Boyce, who made the motion. Your last name makes me say Boyce and Motion, and that doesn't make sense. Board Member Boyce, who made the motion. So the floor is yours if you have any further comments or questions on that, and then we can open it up to anyone else.
Well, just for those who weren't with us in the study session, this is a remarkable opportunity, I think, for Provo to have important stakeholders be a voice and a part of our conversation about how to best serve and educate the students in Provo. I'm a big fan of the work they've done.
Thank you.
I second that. I think it would be a great opportunity for the students, but also for us as a board to have a more direct access to students and to be able to see what they think, because they really are our largest, as far as numbers go, they're our biggest stakeholder, I think. Well, maybe not, but they're the ones that we directly serve. So I would love to be able to do that, with the caveat that if we do approve that today, we will need to make some tweaks, some changes to the actual policy that you guys turned in, but we expected that. I think you guys expected that. But if we would consider at least, whether we would like to move that direction, I think would be good.
Okay. I have here a pile of signatures from kids at both high schools of the petition that these students initiated, and they had, what was the total signatures for between both schools? Several hundred. 700.
Almost 700.
Almost 700 signatures. So clearly there's some good support for this. We also watched a video in the study session that showed support from the mayor and from the attorney general and from all sorts of teachers and students alike. So I just want to commend you two and everyone who is involved in the work that's happened here. This is a pretty important thing we're seeing, especially with everything being initiated by students. That's really incredible. So we're grateful for your work, and just want to let you guys know, thank you for doing what you're doing, and I think it's really awesome. So, okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Okay, item E2, consideration for the THS boiler replacement, and I'll entertain a motion there.
I move that we approve the large purchase request for the Timpview High School boiler replacement in the amount of $1,272,117.17 as discussed in study session.
Okay, motion by Board Member Partridge. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Hall. Jennifer, you have the floor if there's any further discussion or questions from you.
Well, as was brought up in study session, we've had the same one at Timpview all 40 plus years, and it's high time to take care of them. Right now they're freezing in some of their classes. The administration handed out hot chocolate one day because they knew how cold the kids were in their classes. So I'm glad, I hope to be able to move forward on this.
Any other comments?
I was just going to mention that in the study session that our business administrator mentioned that this is coming from a different fund, that it's coming from capital, remind me, Derek, is this from the state?
Correct. So the state handed out a grant this year, one-time money for capital improvements that were supposed to be around HVAC boilers, needs of facilities. And with that money, that was the two critical areas that we saw that were large dollar items that are typically hard to get done, that are just needed were the Timpview boilers and then the item that's next on the agenda.
One more question about it. When will we expect it to be replaced?
We're on the skin of our teeth, but we expect to get this thing done before the next winter hits. So it's a long time. They've got to essentially deconstruct and pull the whole thing out. They've got to change the pad size, just essentially retrofit a big boiler for a building that's already been built.
This does not affect the air conditioning.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Item E3, consideration to approve large purchase request again, and this time it's the generators. Derek, do you want to just give us some quick info on that?
Yep. So this is along the same lines of the boiler replacement. These are generators in the event that there's power outages or surges that that we can still provide power to the most critical functions of these two schools that these generators are going to cover. And these are going to be towards some of our oldest facilities in the district that do not currently have generators.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for that.
Go ahead.
I move that we approve the large purchase request of $394,805 as discussed in study session.
Motion by Board Member Hales. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Board Member Van Wagenen.
I have nothing to add if you're going to ask.
Okay, yeah, you don't have to.
Oh.
I'm just learning Robert's rules. If you want to, you get the floor first. But if there's any further discussion from any board members? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. All right, again, Derek, would you speak to item E4, the consideration of approval of construction services?
So what you have before you is we currently hired a construction manager to outside contractor to oversee the Timpview construction project, and they, due to the expanding of these extra projects that are further underway, the ask is to be able to bring them on board for all of our projects, which will then have some specialized oversight over those projects, and will allow me to be freed up to get to the other areas that are needed.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve hiring construction services in the amount of $70,560 for 1 year.
Thank you. Motion made by Board Member Van Wagenen. Is there a second?
I second. Let someone else do it.
All right. We'll go with second by Board Member Partridge. Board Member Van Wagenen, you have the floor first if you'd like to add anything or if there's any further questions or comments from the board.
I think it's money well spent. Amen.
All right. All in favor with aye?
I had a question.
Sorry, go ahead.
This is in addition to what we've already approved, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
So this is essentially adding on from the existing agreement.
And is it a second personnel, like is it an additional person?
No, it's adding on the scope of the additional
Okay.
projects.
Okay. So Chad will be taking care of these projects as well. Okay.
So it's their firm, so they've got a team of people, but what the original contract was just for Timpview. This one expands it to the other projects as well. Same team, same firm, just expanding it to the other projects.
Okay. And
So
I'll
we'll
just,
expect to, sorry,
go ahead.
we'll expect to renew this next year about the same time because the projects won't be complete.
Correct.
Okay. And I just wanted to make a comment that I'm grateful that we're able to take a few things off your plate, Derek, because I know you're working hard. So
Thank you.
this will be a good thing for the district. Okay, all in favor with aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Item E5, consideration to approve safety and security radios. Derek, will you give us a little bit of info on that as well?
Yep, so this is coming out of our Safety and Security Committee. We had an outside firm come and do an analysis of our organization for safety and security. And this was an item that was identified as part of that review and through the Safety and Security Committee as a need for our organization. So these are the radios that would allow us to have inter-school and cross-district communications on a dedicated wavelength. That these radios require the operators to have an FCC license for those, and you know they're more designed for emergency response, and they're not your standard two-way radios that people go out into the hills with.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the large purchase request for safety and security radios in the amount of $111,451.25 as discussed in study session.
Thank you. Motion made by Board Member Hales. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Board Member Boyce. Board Member Hales or anyone else with any further discussion or comments or?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
For Derek, is this coming out of a grant? I know at one point we had a grant that we've been spending some security, or getting security things. Is it still part of the grant?
So that grant has already been spent, so this is coming from the prior carryover monies that they've had allocated to them.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to make a comment that this is part of a bigger commitment on the board, and I think of the district to really look at the security at our schools and make sure we're doing what we need to be doing.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Item E6, the consideration to approve T&L request. Derek, again, I think, right?
Just keep this going.
You want to just run the meeting from here?
That's the candy to Derek.
So what you have before you is a request for our Lexia software. This is for the K through 3 program, and I believe from what if I remember, it was for the reading program that is really targeted for that K through 3 grade.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the large purchase request for Lexia software renewal in the amount of $67,500 as discussed in study session.
Thank you. Motion made by Board Member Partridge. Is there a second?
Second.
Was that you, Melanie? Okay. I was looking
here.
in the wrong direction. Second by Board Member Hall. Board Member Partridge, you have the floor if you'd like to start for any further discussion. Okay, all in favor with aye?
Can I ask a question?
Yep,
Sorry.
absolutely.
Is this coming, where in the budget is this coming from? I should have asked that earlier.
They have a budget that is allocated to them that they're choosing.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
So this is something that's already been planned for? Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. For item E7, we have already discussed in study session that we're going to table that pending more information, and we'll bring that to you.
Do we need to do an
I think
official
we need to have an
motion?
official motion to table it. Yeah.
We do, because didn't I ask that question and someone said, no, we can just table it?
That's what you were told, yes.
I was told we can just table it. Do we feel like we need to have an official?
Should have an official motion because it's on this agenda, and
All right.
so we have to address it in this meeting.
Okay, so then,
I move that we
well,
table.
do we want to have any, do we want Derek to let us know what it is first? Do you want to go ahead and
Yep,
talk
so
about
this
that,
is
Derek?
a portable move.
good.
We already own the portable, and there's a need at one of our schools potentially next year for additional classroom space. And what we would be doing is moving that portable to this school, and this is essentially just the cost to move it, which is adding in the pad that the portable would sit on, pulling the wire, all those things it would need to be able to move and get that thing ready. And so that's ultimately what this is.
Okay, thank you. We did discuss this earlier in study session. I don't know that we need to necessarily make any more comments, but we can, I guess, if we need to. But I'll entertain a motion. Bonnie's added some extra language down at the bottom of your screen there under motion and voting if you're interested in tabling this item instead. So I'll entertain a motion here.
I move that we table this item. I don't have the updated, but I move that we table this item. I think that works.
I think that's plenty. Okay, so our motion made by Board Member McCabe. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Second by Board Member Van Wagenen. If you want to make any further comments, Terry, you're welcome to start.
No.
Okay, we're just looking for more information as discussed in study session, I think. So, okay, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Oh, sorry. That's okay. Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. And last one, consideration to approve school fees. Derek, if you'll talk about this as well.
Yep, so what you have before you is the first reading and the first approval of the fees for next year, so school year 23-24. With the way the state law works is we have fees that are submitted by the state, which would be any and all fees that they could charge. Doesn't mean that all of these are charged, but that could be charged up to certain maximum amounts and different varying things. But this is essentially the first reading, which then pushes it out for public comment, which would give a month to review between now and next board meeting to allow public comment. And then next month we will bring it back with public comment or any additional changes that are made based off of recommendations from the school, the public, the board, and for the final approval.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the proposed school fees as discussed in the study session.
Thank you. Board Member Boyce has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Board Member Van Wagenen. Board Member Boyce, you have the floor if you'd like to make any comments or if there's any further discussion from the board.
I would like to just comment, as I mentioned in the study session, that I'm not feeling totally comfortable where some of the fees are right now at some of the schools, and so I'm glad to hear there's going to be some discussions between now and the next one. Maybe they'll be able to make changes, maybe it'll have to wait another year, but I'm glad that we're looking to see if maybe we can bring some fees down for some of our programs.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Item F, our consent calendar.
I move that we approve the items on the consent calendar.
Perfect, thank you. Motion made by Board Member Hall. Is there a second?
I second.
Is that you, Gina? Yep. I turned my head the wrong way and I missed it. Okay, second by Board Member Hales. Melanie, you have the floor if you'd like to discuss anything further or if anyone has any questions or comments from here.
I think it needs to be changed to I move that we approve the items on the consent calendar with the changes that I requested.
Okay, so are you making a substitute, or are you
Yes.
making an amendment here to the original?
Substitute, I think.
An amendment is if we change the wording just a little bit. Typically, a substitute is if we change the whole entire thing.
Okay, then let's just do an amendment.
Okay.
Then.
So then amendment made by Board Member McCabe. Is there a second to that amendment?
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded by Board Member Partridge. Any further discussion on Board Member McCabe's amendment?
I feel that these are legal documents that we have to approve every month. And if we just approve without saying that things need to be changed before we're going to be legally liable for what's in them if we don't say with Robert's Rules of Order that these we approve with the changes.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's just like when we do our other motions and we say with the changes we talked about in study session, right? So we just need to, but thank you for pointing out that we need to add that language when we do the consent calendar.
Okay. All right. All in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. All right. Item G on our agenda, we will now hear from Board Member Gina Hales with her board member report.
I'm going to make this so fast because everybody's glaring daggers at me. It's time to go home. So, I just wanted to report on the things that I have done. So if we just go to the next one, and we'll get to those, go to the next one. I'm really glad that we approved this. I'm excited to work with these students and with Todd, and I'm really excited Todd's on board because I'm going to make him do all the work. Thanks, Todd. No, just kidding. I'm excited, and I'm hoping that it will be a good experience for everyone, and I'm sure it will be, so thanks for your work on that. Next. All right, this is the one I have the most to say on. I will keep it short, but legislative and government relations is really, really important. A few things I've learned. They run, I'm not kidding, hundreds maybe, they run a bunch of education bills. It's really hard to keep up with. Most of them are for more regulation. More regulation usually leads to less innovation and the ability to respond to individual students. And while I think that too few regulations leads to mismanagement and chaos, there needs to be a better balance. We've started talking to legislators about that. Public education has a ton more requirements, which means that we can't be as innovative. And so I would like to see the legislature have more even requirements for any schools that receive public money. Public education is expected to be everything to everybody, and we don't have adequate funding for that. And one thing that I have learned here this year, being on the legislative committee, is that the state actually has plenty of money for education. They're just choosing not to give it to us. So if you don't want your property taxes raised too much, write to your legislators and tell them, please better fund public education so we don't need to, so that they don't have to raise your taxes. I mean, we heard from the principal today who said he's losing teachers every year, the really good teachers who have been in a long time, because we can't pay them as much as we can as our neighboring districts. We need to have the ability to pay our teachers what they're worth. We have the money, write to your legislators, and that's that last one. So please write to your legislators. Policy committee, we have lots of policies that we need to update. So policy statement of intent, what we want to have happen, procedures, implementation, and we're working on a roadmap now to update those, and so we'll keep you informed on that. We're still working on that. This is my favorite title, Committees Committee. We are restructuring the committees because we want them to be more functional. We want them to be more transparent to the public as well as to us. And I also think that if we can restructure them, it'll be a process, but I believe it will help the gentlemen and gentle ladies on the left here to be able to do their jobs more effectively and efficiently. And so we want that. It's a work in progress. The Allied Agency Committee, basically we coordinate education and treatment of any persons who are in the custody of Juvenile Justice Youth Services or DCFS. This is a great committee. They do good work, and I'm happy to serve with them. And I am the alternate now on this, but I feel that our sex ed curriculum is pretty basic. That's not a judgment call, it's just what it is. It's very basic. Parents can review this online, and I encourage all of you to do that. If you want my full-blown board report on this, it's from May of last year or the year before. You know, if you don't like the word sex, then you shouldn't watch that. The committee, from what I've seen, is made up of mostly parents, I believe, some personnel from the district. They are very, very purposeful and careful about the information that is given to students, and we always give deference to parents. And this is my last thing. Talk to your kids about sex. It protects them, and it eases anxiety. And that's all I have on that. And now we can all go home.
Almost, we're close.
I tried.
Thank you, Board Member Hales, for your board report and for making it quick and easy. We appreciate that. And for all the work you do. You have been so busy recently. We really thank you for what you do. Okay, we'll move on to item H, the superintendent report.
Okay, real quick. I have approved 3 travel requests, 2 at Provo High School, 1 for Timpview High School. These are all either within state, or the out-of-state one is one that I've done several years, that we've done several years in a row. Also, I wanted to let the young lady know from Timpview who spoke to us that Dr. McKee and I found out about the situation you reported tonight, and we've initiated a response to that already. So I can't say what could have or should have happened before now, but now that it's in our bailiwick, we'll be getting after it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Superintendent Rattel. I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I move we adjourn this meeting.
Thank you. Motion by Board Member Hales, and we are adjourned.